There is a lake at the bottom of the ocean. It has a shoreline, a surface, waves, and if you swim into it, you die. We've landed rovers on Mars. We've photographed black holes billions of light years away. But here, more than a mile beneath the surface of our own ocean, something exists that most people have never heard of. Something that, when scientists first saw it, made them question what they were looking at. A lake, underwater, completely separate from the water surrounding it. Scientists call them brine pools, and they are, without question, some of the strangest places on Earth. Millions of years ago, ancient seas evaporated across regions like the Gulf of Mexico, the Mediterranean, and the Red Sea, leaving behind massive underground deposits of salt. As the ocean floor shifted, seawater seeped down through cracks in the rock and dissolved those ancient salt beds. The resulting liquid, now so dense with salt that it's nearly 5 times saltier than normal seawater, has nowhere to go but pool into depressions in the seafloor. And because it's so heavy, it doesn't mix. It just sits there, a lake within the ocean, separated by what oceanographers call a halocline, a boundary as sharp and clear as the surface of a swimming pool. Touch the surface with a ROV arm and you can watch it ripple, like disturbing a mirror. The first deep-sea brine pool was discovered in the Gulf of Mexico in the 1980s, when oceanographers noticed something bizarre on their sonar readings. A flat, reflective surface sitting hundreds of meters below the seafloor. The kind of reading you'd expect from the ocean's surface, not from the bottom of it. They thought the equipment was glitching. It wasn't. When the first submersible cameras finally descended and the lights swept across the seafloor, researchers saw it. A pool of shimmering liquid sitting completely still in the dark, ringed by pale salt crystals, bordered by thick white mats of something biological. And at its edges, thousands of mussels, clustered so densely they looked like cobblestones. They had found a new world. Since that first discovery, researchers have found brine pools in the Gulf of Mexico, the Mediterranean Sea, the Black Sea, and the Red Sea. Each one different in size, in chemistry, in the life clinging to its edges. Some are barely the size of a tennis court. Others stretch for several square kilometers, wide enough and deep enough to swallow an entire city block. But in 2022, researchers from the University of Miami made a discovery that stopped the scientific community cold. Working aboard the Ocean X research vessel with a remotely operated vehicle, marine geoscientist Sam Purkis and his team found a brand new brine pool. Not in the deep open ocean where all previous Red Sea pools had been found, but in the Gulf of Akaba, a narrow arm of the Red Sea, just over a mile from the Saudi coastline, at a depth of 1,770 meters. Previously, all Red Sea brine pools were at least 15 miles offshore. Nobody expected one this close to shore. Nobody expected one here at all. And inside it, a 1,000-year-old sediment record, perfectly preserved, untouched. A natural archive of earthquakes, tsunamis, and climate events that had rocked the region across a millennium. Because here's the thing about brine pools that makes geologists dizzy. Nothing disturbs their sediment. No burrowing worms, no churning shrimp, no oxygen. Anything that sinks to the bottom of a brine pool stays exactly where it landed. A pristine, undisturbed timeline of Earth's history, layer by layer. It's like finding a library that no one has ever opened. But first, let's be clear about what brine pools actually are to most life on Earth. They are traps. Lethal, efficient, and indiscriminate. When a fish or eel wanders into the brine, The extreme salt concentration triggers a process called osmotic shock. The water is ripped out of the animal's cells almost instantly. Its nerves misfire, its muscles lock. Within seconds, it is stunned, often irreversibly. The eel you just saw in Blue Planet 2, it swam into the brine pool by accident, and within moments, it was paralyzed. The brine holds no oxygen. It's completely anoxic, meaning even if the animal could recover from the salt shock, it would suffocate. At the bottom of many brine pools, researchers have documented something haunting: graveyards. Entire clusters of fish, crabs and eels that wandered in and never came out. Perfectly preserved by the cold, salt-saturated water. An underwater killing field. And yet, life has found a way in anyway. Not through the brine, not into it, but around it. At the very edge where deadly meets possible, that narrow strip of interface between the anoxic brine and the oxygen-rich seawater above, some of the most extraordinary survival strategies on Earth have taken shape. Consider the shrimp. Researchers watching footage from the Neom brine pool expedition noticed something remarkable. Shrimp were gathering at the halocline, that sharp boundary between the brine and normal seawater. Not swimming through it, not retreating, just hovering, watching, waiting. When a fish came too close to the surface and was stunned by the brine, the shrimp moved in, fast. They grabbed the immobilized animal, fed for seconds, then retreated back above the interface before the toxic water could affect them. They had learned, or rather evolved, to use the brine pool itself as a hunting weapon. The lake was the trap. The shrimp were the trappers. This is evolution working in real time. The brine pool doesn't just kill. For the right animal, it serves. Then there are the mussels. Thick colonies of them ring the edges of brine pools across the Gulf of Mexico, living in conditions that would kill most marine life outright. Their secret? Symbiosis. Inside their gills, they harbor specialized chemosynthetic bacteria. Bacteria that don't need sunlight to produce energy. Instead, they pull methane and sulfur compounds from the water and convert them directly into food through a process called chemosynthesis. The mussels provide shelter. The bacteria provide nutrition. Neither could survive there without the other. It's one of the most elegant partnerships in the natural world. An animal that farms chemistry instead of feeding on sunlight. And then there is the hagfish. The hagfish is ancient. Its basic design hasn't changed in over 300 million years. It's jawless, eyeless for most practical purposes, and looks something like a pale sock with teeth. It's not a glamorous animal, but what it can do near a brine pool is extraordinary. When threatened or stressed, a hagfish releases slime. Not a little slime, a shocking amount of it. A single teaspoon of hagfish mucus can expand into a liter of thick, fibrous gel in under half a second. It coats the animal's skin completely. And that coating, researchers believe, significantly reduces how quickly salt water moves across the body, giving the hagfish a brief but real tolerance for the extreme salinity at a brine pool's edge. So, the hagfish charges in, grabs whatever paralyzed animal it can find, and retreats before the brine overwhelms its defenses. It is reckless, efficient, and deeply strange. And it works. But the true masters of the brine pool aren't the shrimp or the mussels or the hagfish. They're invisible. Inside the brine itself, in the cold, oxygen-free, hyper-salty chemical soup that kills everything else, live extremophile microorganisms. Bacteria and archaea that have evolved over millions of years to do what life should not be able to do. They don't use sunlight, they don't use oxygen. They metabolize sulfur, methane, and dissolved metals. chemicals that seep up from deep within the earth, warmed by geothermal heat below. Their cell walls are built differently. Their enzymes function at salinities that would destroy any normal protein. Their entire biochemistry has been rewritten by evolution to thrive in what to us looks like poison. And here's where the story expands beyond the deep sea entirely. Scientists studying the neon brine pools in the Red Sea noted that the conditions inside those pools, extreme salinity, no oxygen, high chemical activity, isolated from the rest of the ocean, are strikingly similar to what we believe exists on the icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn. Europa, Enceladus. Worlds with liquid oceans locked beneath miles of ice, warmed not by sunlight, but by internal geological forces. Worlds that, until recently, we thought could not support life. The microbes in Earth's brine pools suggest otherwise. If life can exist in a sealed, toxic, oxygen-free chemical lake at the bottom of our own ocean, it may be able to exist in the hidden seas of other worlds. In 2025, researchers on a Red Sea expedition discovered something stranger still. Brine pools sitting near the summits of underwater volcanoes more than a kilometer above the surrounding ocean floor. These weren't fed by ancient salt deposits beneath the sea floor. They appeared to be fed directly by volcanic activity. Superheated vents discharging mineral-laden water, pooling into hypersaline lakes on the very tops of the seamounts. Brine pools, it turns out, aren't one thing. They're a family of extreme environments, each with its own geology, its own chemistry, its own strange community of life. We've found fewer than a few dozen of them across the entire ocean floor. But the ocean covers 71% of this planet, and we've explored less than 20% of the seafloor. There could be hundreds of brine pools we haven't found yet, maybe thousands. Each one a sealed time capsule. Each one a killing field with its own shadow ecosystem. There's a moment in every deep-sea expedition where even the scientists go quiet. It usually happens when the ROV camera first dips down and finds the brine surface, that still, glassy sheet hanging in the dark. The little ripple as the arm touches it, the reflection of the sub's lights in water that's been sitting in silence for 10,000 years. In a universe where we spend enormous energy searching for life beyond Earth, we keep forgetting something, right here, on this planet. A mile below the surface of an arm of the Red Sea, or deep in the Gulf of Mexico, or on the summit of a volcanic seamount that no human being has ever visited, there are lakes. Strange, toxic, beautiful lakes. And around them, despite everything, life persists. Not by accident, by invention. The shrimp that learned to hunt with poison water. The mussels that farm chemistry instead of sunlight. The hagfish in its slime armor. The microbes rewriting the laws of biochemistry in real time. Adaptation isn't just survival, it's ingenuity. And evolution, it turns out, will go anywhere, even to the bottom of a lake that wants to kill you. The deep sea doesn't give up its secrets easily. But every time it does, every brine pool we find, every creature we watch survive the unsurvivable, it reminds us of something profound. Life doesn't ask permission. Beneath the still surface of these deadly brine pools, life has found strange and miraculous ways to adapt. But not far from these toxic basins lies another world born from death itself. A place where a fallen giant becomes an entire ecosystem. Join me as we leave the shimmering edges of the brine pools and descend toward the haunting beauty of the whale fall, where decay gives rise to new life in the darkest depths.